You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
Yes, welcome to Geek Nerd Tech,
Yes,
show number
sir.
12. The show we break down, nerd culture and tech news from a black and light brown geek perspective.
Oh, you shooting today?
No.
Okay.
Show number 12. Thank you for joining us again. We appreciate you downloading us on iTunes if you found us there. You can also check us out on YouTube or at blackhollywoodlive.com, however you want to see us.
All day.
All day long. Akili, how you doing today?
But I'm great, man. Much better than the last session, man. I was ill, but now I'm back 100%, man.
You were very, you were under the weather. I didn't
Super
know.
under the weather, man. But
That's all
I'm
right.
back in alignment, man.
You're
So
back.
we good. What about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm good. I feel like I'm jacked up on all my supplements.
You've been doing the CrossFit
I've
stuff,
been doing
right?
CrossFit, and it's killing me because I'm old. But I'm trying to recover the best way as possible legally.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
don't have access to that NFL, NBA stuff. Allegedly, I don't have access to that stuff. But
Yes, sir.
nor do I want it. And Steve Lemieux, how you doing out there? You all right?
I'm awesome. Ready for some tech news.
All right, we got plenty of tech news. We got a lot of news actually. We got some. We're gonna get into like some nerd culture stuff too because we've been kind of slacking on our nerd side
A little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, we've been so teched out. We got some nerd shit too.
Man, let's do it.
Well, let's talk about Walking Dead because Walking Dead is premiered a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it is not. It's still just a juggernaut of an
Huge.
incredible phenomenon that's just not slowing down. And then and so I don't want to get into too much about what it is, but I think it's interesting to discuss. There's been two things that came up online. The first is Robert Kirkman has been very vocal in talking about. He's been out he's a Robert Kirkman for those who don't know, and if you listen to this podcast, you should know. He's the creator of the series via the comic book and also the series itself, and he's kind of elevated himself to sort of the main showrunner after the show's gone through a couple of different showrunners, and he's really sort of like taken full control over the franchise as it would be. As you know,
It's his baby, so.
it's his baby. And he's like when we went to Comic-Con, we did the Walking Dead experience.
Yeah,
and
that was dope.
He was hands-on on that
Yeah.
too. So he's really hands-on. So one of the things he's talking about is like he really wants to be as hands-on on a real video game sort of crossover situation. I know there's been a couple of Walking Dead games that are very popular, but I think they're talking about doing something that's a little more open world, a little more serious. I mean, a good example of that, which didn't quite work so well, is Defiance. Right. Defiance did that, as we saw in Comic-Con. We talked. They started a video game world, online world that. To launch the series, it was a 5-year plan. They started the video game world, and then they launched the series. Now the series is doing great. The series is doing great. The video game, not so much, but I think they're still trying to correct that.
I think it's really cool though, just to see a concept start as a comic book, then go to a television show, then evolve to a video game, and then have all the experiential aspects of it, supplementing that and supporting that. I think that's what's really cool about The Walking Dead in particular, because you have avid fans, diehard fans that are able to experience The Walking Dead in multiple formats, multiple ways. And I think that's what's really making the brand strong and creating the legacy of the Walking Dead franchise. So
it really, to me, asked a very important sort of chicken egg cultural question about creating something, right?
Exactly.
So, The Walking Dead did it fairly organically. Look, I have this comic book, and then they're going to develop into a TV show, and maybe it could be this, and maybe it could be that, and maybe you'll be maybe a feature down the road.
I think
Who
that's
knows?
the world we live in. You want to develop a product that has multiple touch points.
Well, this is my point. The point is that was sort of organically done. Whereas the point, back to Defiance, they said, "Oh, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create this property that's gonna be a video game and a movie and then this and then that. It's gonna hit all these quadrants, and we're gonna be geniuses." And it didn't quite work because so sometimes you can plan the master plan. and sometimes you can't.
It's hit and miss.
But it makes you wonder about, because everybody wants to have the property that
360
that reaches every quadrant and every demographic and every media platform. Everyone wants that, but not everyone can achieve it unless you're George Lucas.
I think another note too, just how they're adapting The Walking Dead from the comic book to the TV show to the video game, that it's not the same. Like there's gonna be streams of variety. Like it's not gonna be the same narrative with each touch point. So in the video game, you might be experiencing the story a little differently, or the characters might be a little different, or it might be new characters,
right?
Or even in the TV show, like it's almost like an alternate universe, but it's still under the umbrella of The Walking Dead. And I think that's fresh.
And also, one of the big cultural things too is why. The why is The Walking Dead still resonating? And one of the interesting things I found about that is, it's one of the one shows. I mean, it's still a juggernaut, ratings juggernaut. It's still a hit show, #1. But one of the things that is really resonating with me is the fact that it's still water cooler talk. Like we really have gone away from the water cooler in the age of the DVR, and there's so many shows and after shows and talks and think pieces and everything else. We've gone away from the water cooler buzz, and frankly, Walking Dead is a show that people watch live and then come to work and talk about it the next day or online, immediately.
You're talking about 13 million people that are tuning in weekly to watch The Walking Dead. That's killing everything on TV.
Right.
It's killing NFL games.
Exactly. But not only that, it's like those aren't +5 and plus 7 ratings or +3 ratings, like shows like The Blacklist that I'm involved in. Certainly, they do they do well, but still those are well. People are DVRing these shows.
Right.
People DVR Walking Dead, but much like Breaking Bad, like you have to. You
want to tune
in.
You want to experience it.
So I don't know if this is something that AMC, because AMC is both Breaking Bad and Walking Dead, and Mad Men as well. But the question is that why is this resonating culturally? Why does this have the same live effect like TV? Because for advertisers, you want people watching live, and people do watch this live.
And I think too, versus like the whole broadcast format versus the cable format. You build a show based on a star,
right?
And like The Walking Dead, kind of has like the no person is safe philosophy. Like any person can get killed off anytime, kind of like with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I think because that adds the excitement to the show. Like you never know what's going to happen. Like it's not predictable. It's not cliche.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why people want to tune in. And then I think just on the concept level, it's dealing with a lot of humanity defects. Like how do you deal with this issue? Like a lot of morality, a lot of moral things that you want to deal with.
Right. And
I think that's what makes it interesting. Like how would I deal with this if this happened? Like I'm in this dichotomy. Like should I go left? Should I go right? Is it evil? Is it good? Like what would you do? Kind of ask the question.
Yeah. It also makes me wonder about the longevity. We'll get off Walking Dead after this, but it just wonder about the longevity of the show, because I mean because of the way the world is set up, they're not like searching for the cure or trying to save humanity.
Right.
They're just like, this is the world we live in, and we're just trying to get through it, and that's the end until we all die or we become zombies.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty bleak.
That is. That is.
But for some reason, because usually viewers want oh wow, they're gonna get the cure, they're looking to get off the island, or maybe they'll solve the case, and no.
So many unknowns, and that's what makes it cool.
And I think that you think of shows like Gunsmoke that ran 20+ years. I mean, this has that, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's a Western, and it's we're so this is kind of a Western. So we'll see. Maybe I feel like this has legs. I mean, I don't know how long we can watch.
I love The Walking Dead, man. I'm a huge fan.
Did you watch it for 20 years?
I don't know. I don't know if I can watch it.
I mean, nowadays 7 years is like the gold. If you get to 7 years and you're a classic series, you've killed it. So we'll see. Anyway, so Walking Dead, our sister station AfterBuzz does a great Walking Dead AfterBuzz after show with our friends Dario and Nando. So you can check that out on AfterBuzz. But moving on, PlayStation. We touched on PlayStation versus Xbox a while ago, and we talked about those two things, and we thought we'd kind of check in and see where we're at. We're a couple months in, and a couple months past the launch, and the sales reports are in. And it's sort of good news and bad news. It depends on how you want to look at it. First of all, PlayStation is killing it. PlayStation is outselling Xbox
2-1.
2-1.
That's huge.
That's huge. Yeah. So I mean, I don't. However, the other thing is that Xbox One is selling extremely well.
Right.
So both consoles are selling very well. Now Xbox is outselling it 2-1. I mean, PlayStation is outselling 2-1, but they're still both selling very well.
Yeah.
Xbox they're not worried. In fact, their spin on it is like, well, we're moving more units than Xbox 360 did, so we're ahead of the game. You know, this is just what we do. So Xbox is Microsoft's very, very happy. You know, I mean, in a heads up contest. I mean, they're not so happy, but. You know, and PlayStation, they're both international products. So PlayStation is Sony. It's kind of an international product. You have, the Japanese aren't going to be buying a lot of Microsoft shit.
Of course.
But anyway, what do you think? I mean, what's your thoughts on the console game?
I mean, my thoughts on that is like they're both killing it, like in terms of sales, in terms of products being moved off shelves. But it seems like people are gravitating more to PS4. Like we just said, 2-1 in terms of and the record numbers. But I think second quarter will be a good litmus test to see like who will advance for like the year, because they have a number of games coming out.
Yep.
Like I don't know what the game is for PS4 that's coming out. But they each have respective games that can only be played on that system.
Well, Titanfall is
Titanfall. That's
for Xbox.
Yeah.
That's what I'm very, very looking much for Titanfall. In fact, I haven't purchased the Xbox One yet, which is incredible that I haven't done that. But I think Titanfall in the coming up in the spring is going to be my key to do that.
Right.
I'm an Xbox loyalist. I said that before. It's interesting because what's driving these sales there's a list of what are the hot top games, and all the games that are selling are available on both platforms. And ironically, it's weird. Some games like Call of Duty, which is available on both Call of Duty Ghosts, available on both platforms, is selling better on the 360.
Yep.
But NBA 2K14 is selling better on the PlayStation, and then Battlefield 4 is selling better on PlayStation, but Assassin's Creed is selling better on the 360. So it's kind of like, it's interesting, like how they go back and forth between the consoles versus what you're playing. GTA 5 is selling way better on the 360 than on the PS3, which is which is interesting. And so I don't know. We'll see as this develops into the PS4.
I think too, when they develop more games, like I think even the sales will even skyrocket even more. Because there's only a limited amount of games that you could play on the system thus far. Like, it's not that many. So I think once they really expand that, then people are really going to be buying them. So
well, the last question is, the last thing is, what people talk about the death of the console. Like, the console's dying. It's all going to be on your television one day. It's all going to be on Apple TV is going to just have it all. And I don't think that's happening.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about, like, oh, who needs consoles? You'll be able to download it all to your Google Glass and walk around and play Call of Duty.
Playing shit,
But no, I think that we're a long way away from that.
I think so too.
Just from a consumer awareness standpoint, and also just from a consumer consolidation point. It's always a thing. Multiple formats, consolidating them into one or two. That's a thing. Going back to LPs or Betamax versus Laserdisc versus it's people just want one. They want what they want, and they'll stick with it for a while. We've got these, and
but it is inevitable that it will be. We will be able to play these things on, our televisions or whatever while having the console. That's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Sure, but it's not imminent.
Yeah,
I don't think at CES next year we'll be playing Xbox on the new Samsung.
Not at all.
But so we also want to check in on. We do a lot of talk about AI.
We do.
We talk a lot about AI because we're both very much afraid of it. But I just want to do our bi-weekly or monthly, if you will, check in on the artificial intelligence world. There's been a couple articles recently, sort of talking about really getting into talking about what is available, what's coming up, what's really here versus what's now versus what's science fiction. Like what's coming versus what's happening now, and what does the stuff that's happening now mean for what is really going to happen?
What's reality? What's fantasy?
A lot of speculation. Yeah. So what we do know is the thinking machines are here. We know that. Sure. They're Absolutely. Here and they're available. From Watson on down. But what the thing that's going to change the game is the thinking machines going from the Watson, which you just can't go buy a Watson, to the thinking machines that are in your hand, or that are your laptop or your car, or your wearable, or other things. And that's kind of the next step. We're talking about the consumerization of the thinking machines, talking about taking it from the laboratories into your computers and into your smartphones.
And then just in terms of piggybacking on that, in terms of the thinking machines, like, because artificial intelligence is a machine that, perceives its environment and is able to make choices, make decisions off its environment, and those decisions to help advance itself,
right,
or help advance the environment. And so I don't think we've made it to that point yet. Like, I think, the AI things that we're seeing, do simple things, but in terms of like institutional things or societally based things, I don't think we've seen that yet. So, but to your point, like in terms of where the technology is and what we are able to access today, like it's incredible, from like the cars that drive themselves to, like you said, Watson, like can be any human in jeopardy. That's crazy. Like, I would have never thought that we'd be witnessing something like that. So,
well, it's funny. Like I'm always amazed how, I mean, like, do scientists not watch science fiction movies? Like, this is happening exactly like every science fiction movie says it's going to happen every time. It's like, oh, we're going to develop these things and it's just going to help us out,
right?
And then we're going to let them think so they can just help aid us. And then they'll talk to each other because they can all talk to each other.
Yeah.
That'll help aid the process. And then we're all dead. And then we're all matrixed.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still, as I'm on record as saying, and I'll stay on record as saying, I'm terrified.
The second point to this too is the access to information and technology that I think the article that we read kind of like brought up, in the sense that in the early ages of the Industrial Revolution, like, the information was for the elite, for a select few. And so the competition, wasn't as great, versus now, people globally have access to the information. So it creates a more of a funnel for ideas to, be birthed.
Sure.
Because now that you have a school right in front of you, you have a library right in front of you, like now you're able to develop and enhance your community. And I think that will in turn enhance humanity, because instead of it being elite, it's for the people now. And so I think that's kind of cool too, in terms of what the future looks like, being that a lot of third world countries now have, cell phones and access to the internet and computers like that. What we talked about last week, the technological classism is kind of shrinking. And I think that will kind of like give a rapid rate to more AI devices that we might see in our society.
Right. I agree. So I'm so afraid of it.
Yeah.
So moving on. So Apple is back on the news. My man Tim Cook is doing his best to do his to get his Steve Jobs on, and there's a lot of things happening in Apple. A lot of rumors about what they're going to do next in the consumer electronic space, in the hardware space. And they're still developing, their software, proprietary software is still doing well. But one thing that they've really just done recently is they filed this patent for what's called a disposable email.
Right.
And this is the spam killer.
Yeah.
And they're really proud of it. Tell me what this is.
I mean, from my understanding, like, yes, they're filing for a patent, but this technology really isn't new. Like, essentially, like the basics of it, like you create an alias name for your email address, and then it's stored, and then you're able to create a filter through your email provider. Right. And so if you send out this alias, or the alias you use for Facebook, they send that out to companies, and then that companies send you spam to your email, to your inbox, that filter will filter it to the spam folder, so you'll never see it in your inbox.
Right.
And so the patent, I think, is I guess more of an aggressive way, or more of a futuristic way to do that. But essentially, you could do that with Gmail, you could do that with Outlook, like. So I think it's just more so fine-tuning that process, and that's what Apple's doing.
There's a lot of this. There's a lot of sort of like trying to get proprietary hands and patents on certain things, because that's kind of the new thing of getting a hold of how we receive our technology. I mean, Facebook is all over this. Everything that they do and innovate, it's theirs, and they're trying to keep it to themselves. And I think that and Yahoo used to be like that, and it's still trying to be like that. And but I think we were seeing that a lot. And Google's obviously huge for that with Gmail and everything else. So I think Apple is trying to say that they're doing this well. And I think this means that Apple is really paying more attention to the email side. The cloud's one thing that's theirs, and obviously, but their whole email ecosystem. From the operating system, from all the iOSs on down, they're really trying to like really get people in under their tent.
Yeah.
And this is a way to do that. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're going to be competing against whose tent do you want to be under? You want to be under the Google tent?
Right.
Do you want to be under the Apple tent? Do you want to be under the Facebook tent?
It's definitely factional. I think that this patent is for the non-geek person. It's for the non-person that's the non-computer heavy person. Like,
right.
I think people that understand technology and on the computer all day long kind of know how to filter out the spam based on their email modifications.
Right.
So, but I think this will make it easier for just the average everyday person.
Sure.
So,
speaking of Facebook, Facebook is. Facebook. We give Facebook a lot of shit a little bit here, but they're really also, man, they're really innovative in not only in their what they're able to do with the social media space and what they've done in the last 10 years. We celebrated their 10-year birthday earlier this year, but what they're doing in the data mining space, and this is the cool and scary thing about Facebook is in 10 years they've collected so much metadata on human behavior and human because we have all these billions of users, right? So what we've done with those billions of users is we're able to collect all this metadata,
all the analytics,
right? Not just like I have all your photos, I got all your shit, but like your behavior,
your choices, your thoughts, everything you say, you type, what you search for, what you look at.
I mean, so it's one of these things like this is unprecedented in the history of being able to study human behavior because normally you're not able to there's no mechanism set up in the past in science where you can look at a sample size over 10 years of 1 billion users.
Yeah, I think the size is what makes it.
Yeah,
and the diversity.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're dealing with people all over the world.
Right.
I mean, so you're able to see, hey, how does someone in India operate culturally, socially versus someone in New York City or wherever?
Yeah, because we're talking about cultural metadata here, and we're talking about human behavioral metadata. And this is kind of this is a business that a lot of the guys at Facebook who are in the business of collecting data, calling their side projects. Yeah. Which again, my skepticism is like, So, but one of the things that just came out recently that they were able to talk about is they're monitoring sort of romance. Like Valentine's Day just passed, and what they're kind of been doing is, over the years, they're able to tell when people are about to sort of get together, like how their Facebook activity increases when they meet each other. Like two people, like you may talk to a girl, and your Facebook activity just blows up. And they're able to monitor that,
and then it decreases once you actually form a relationship with that person because you're out and about. You're not really online.
You're face to face.
Exactly. You're doing your thing. So
and they're able to monitor that. So like, oh, this is heating up, and they're like, oh, they must have got together because they're not talking so much. Yeah. Oh, they must have broke up because So they're able to see they really can just tell you, okay, what you're doing each step of the way. But beyond that, they're able to take all this metadata and really start to figure out what's going to work. Like, oh, they can say like, oh yeah, they're not going to make it. Yeah, I already know what she's into. This, he's into that.
Based on those certain patterns that they've picked up over time, they're able to, like you said, to detect how that relationship is going to go.
Yes,
and I think what's also interesting about this that they're able to collect. This is like this cultural phenomenon of people breaking up on Facebook.
Yeah,
you break up, you're back together. You break up, you're back together. Yep. And just that. Why people feel the need to have to express themselves through this venue. Hey, I broke up. Yeah. Hey, we're back together. That's crazy to me.
Or not only that, not only the announcement of we broke up, we're back together, but the actual breakup itself. It's over, motherfucker. Send.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to send that. Please take me back.
I don't know, baby. Let me think about it. Send. Post.
Man.
So there's a lot of that. But what's interesting is the net of what this metadata is the guys at Facebook are sort of it's a hobby of theirs, but they're saying in a couple of years, probably less, we're gonna be able to pretty much with pretty good certainty say who's gonna be with who's going to be good for who. If this, they got together, this relationship should last about 4 years, giving our metadata. Oh, this could be something that lasts longer than our data has been able to track, so maybe it's a long-lasting thing. Like, these are the building blocks that make things happy. And so
I think the collection of all this, like, cultural information and how people interact will begin to develop, like, for the artificial intelligent beings. Like, for instance, like with the movie Her. Have you seen that? Like, yeah, like, getting this information, they'll be able to create the perfect mate for you that you can interact with on a Facebook platform or whatever.
Based on 10 years of Facebook and 1.2 billion users.
Exactly.
This is what I feel like you like.
Exactly. Based on what you've shown us.
Right.
That's
not only based on what you personally shown us. But
people. Right.
But people.
Yeah,
like the whole
the board.
meta. Like, this is how humans interact. That's, I don't know. Like, again, the longer they collect the data and the more data they get, the more powerful Facebook gets, because ultimately they'll be able to sell this to, sell this to OkCupid. We'll sell this to whoever.
Exactly. And so that's why I choose not to post that many things on Facebook, for that very reason. Because you don't know who is actually collecting that information.
I'm very, very selective and very, very off Facebook personally.
Man.
Anyway. So your favorite girl, has been
get out of here, bro. Get out of here.
Your girl Minaj.
That's not my girl.
Come on. Nicki Minaj has been in the news. Heavy. With her, her single.
Yeah.
Looking Ass Nigga.
Man.
And with the single, the artwork she chose to post is a picture of the great Malcolm X. And the iconic photo of him looking out the window, which other rappers have used, including, KRS-One, my guy. So, BDP, by any means necessary. So, but there's just something about this that really pissed a lot of folks off across every demographic and even across cultures and everything else.
Absolutely.
Female, young, old, black, white, educated. You're taking.
It's a huge violation, man. It's a huge just disrespect to, like you said, the great Malcolm X, someone that represented so much for people, and is often misunderstood even today, like historically and culturally. But like to use this in this context, it was just a violation. It was just wrong. It was disrespectful, and it was hurtful. It was hurtful to us as a people, because, like, when you ask the question or you make the statement looking ass nigga and you put that photo, well, you're saying that because your ass and titties is out all the time. Of course they're going to be looking at you. What do you expect? Versus Malcolm X in this photo, why is he looking out the window? Did you ask yourself why? Because people are trying to kill him. His house just got bombed. So he's trying to protect his family, his children, his wife. So, like, to make the correlation, like, it's the same. It's fucking delusional. It's crazy. Like I said, it's hurtful. It's hurtful.
I mean, I agree wholeheartly. I mean, just to know, the song is basically essentially about, brothers look at me and they looking all the time, and
of course they are,
and to say, like, and then, they're gonna make that jump, like, brothers like Malcolm X, like, what, huh? Like, I don't understand that. Well, there's also like a triple down insult in she did it in February, Black History Month.
Yeah.
In February, the month where Malcolm X was assassinated.
Yeah.
Like
shit upon shit. Shit on top of shit.
It just makes me, Nicki Minaj is a pretty savvy, her and her team are pretty savvy from a PR standpoint and pretty savvy from a marketing promotional standpoint. I gotta, sometimes, and we know people like Madonna and Lady Gaga and others aren't afraid of doing things for controversy's sake. It just kind of makes you wonder a little bit, do you think this is all planned?
No, I definitely think it's out of ignorance and it's delusional. I think her justification for it, she was trying to figure out a way to, to make it good, to make it right. Well, the reason why I used it was because, he's talking about the people that are looking at him.
Knock it off. Enough, Nicki Minaj.
Like,
how about just, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to a greater point, like, I feel like, man, even in the late 90s, the minstrelization of hip hop. Of course, you have the typical things like, hey, I have money, I'm a drug dealer, I have lots of women, like all this, shucking and jiving and dance. But now the minstrelization has even crossed over into an historical context. Like, have you seen the photos of Martin Luther King with bling on? And,
yeah, I don't like
that's ridiculous. Like
that really is.
That's crazy to me.
Like I had a visceral reaction. I didn't know what to make of that because some part of me was like, there. I mean, for those of you who don't know, there's some street art going around Los Angeles, and I'm not sure if it's just L.A., but it's around. But it's basically of Martin Luther King, of one of his mugshots from when he was arrested. And they sort of do a mock-up of one of the famous Biggie Smalls pictures. So he's got a crown on. He's looking kind of like Biggie, but he's also got the plate on, and it's making a king reference that is just inappropriate. You know, I think
it's completely inappropriate.
You know, I don't know. But back to this, I think that it's interesting because Nicki Minaj is someone who has had a meteoric rise into the mainstream, right? She's on Ellen all the time. I mean, Ellen loves her, and she's like very, very mainstream. But she's also been able to sort of keep her sort of street cred. I mean, her song is called "Looking Ass Nigga." Like that's that's the single. So she's very much not trying to make any make any apologies. She can't have that on Ellen. That's not a single she can do on Ellen. So I mean, she's definitely trying to walk the line between both worlds and have some credibility. And I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not really a huge Nicki Minaj guy like you are.
Maybe you stop.
I don't know all the music like you do,
man.
But I did see her in Vegas on New Year's Eve. She was there. But yeah,
I just want to make this last point.
Yeah.
Like, let me ask you: have you seen the video?
No, I've not seen the video.
She's in the video, shooting, some AK-47s or whatever, very similar to, a rifle that Malcolm X is holding. But and the guy that shot the video, Nabil, like he's a really good creative. Like I'm just trying to figure out for her why, like, what's the motivation in doing this? Like, because Malcolm X would not approve of this
anything
about it, musically, even visually, vocally, principally, nothing. Like, so why in her mind would she think that anything like this would be cool?
It's ignorance. I think that's just it's just sort of a sad state.
Yeah.
But so we're out on Nicki Minaj and that. And hopefully she I don't know what she do. She'll do something different. But who we're in on, who I'm in on, who I was out on, who I'm super in on now is my man Kevin Hart.
Man, get out of here, bro.
I love Kevin Hart.
Now you on him.
I'm on him I'm shamelessly like on Kevin Hart because I actually just saw him on Showtime on Jim Rome last night on Jim Rome show on Showtime, and he just made a point about that really resonated with me, with him, and just with us in general in the business, is that Kevin Hart is not an overnight success. Like,
not at all.
People, like he said, I've been doing this for 18 years. Yeah. 18 years of hard work. Like, people just think I'm
overnight. Not at all.
And Kevin, he's been for 18 years, and I've been knowing about Kevin Hart for at least 12.
Man, I've seen 13. Kevin Hart in a small comic club.
Yeah. Oh,
comedy small.
He's been grinding.
Yes.
He's been grinding for a minute. Like, I've known him. And so to see him have this success and to see that it's a testament to his hard work. And when I saw his sort of like, what's happening with him about 4 or 5 years ago with the stand-up tours, when he was like really blowing up from a stand-up standpoint, I was scratching my head like, huh?
For sure.
Kevin Hart is like selling out arenas? Like, how is this happening? Yeah. And then he would do it again, and he'd do it again. He had his specials, and then specials would gross, and then the DVDs, and then he had the film, the concert film, and that gross. I'm like, what is so funny? And then I finally started watching. I'm like, oh yeah, he's funny. Yeah, he's just genuinely funny.
And I think how this applies to our show is that, from what I know about Kevin Hart, like, he not only, obviously, he's grinding with his, comedy and doing stand up and doing all that, but he's heavy on his social media. He's heavy on his promotion through those tools. Like, he doesn't have a handler who's, tweeting for him or Instagramming for him. Like, he's doing it himself. Like, he's connecting, he's interfacing with his audience.
And
like,
he's funny.
He's creating the conversation.
Right.
And I think that's why people can relate to him and connect with him, because he's a real dude. Like, this is me. I'm doing this. Like, follow me.
Very much so. Yeah. Another thing about this, which is interesting for me with Kevin Hart, is another reason why we're talking about this and bringing this up specifically is to talk about his box office success. From a cultural standpoint, he's doing the damn thing. I mean, the last few, he's doing not only a lot for doing big box office business in times where box office business is not done, like February, but also for taking movies that maybe aren't that well known. Like, for instance, like Ride Along, the perfect example. Ride Along was universally panned by the critics, right?
Of course.
I think it was like a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Man.
And that script has been around for about 10 years. Kevin Hart was also saying that the script's been around for 10 years. Finally, they said, okay, let's make this with you. And everyone's like, this old script. This old concept. And the critics were like, here we go again. We've seen it. But the audience showed up because it was #1 the box office.
$100 million.
$100 million.
$100 million.
Like, for a movie, 17% of Rotten Tomatoes.
We got to clap for Cube, too, man.
Okay.
We got to clap
shout
for
out to Cube.
Yeah, man.
That's a fantastic. I wish the movie was better, but
I haven't seen it yet.
I have seen it.
But I've heard great things about it. I've heard amazing things about it. It's hella funny.
There's some laughs.
Okay.
But it's just, what it is it's just, we look, and we've, as moviegoers, it's just a tired premise. We've seen it. We've seen it 1,000 times. We get it.
Right.
Everything they're doing is like it feels like it was written 10 years ago.
Gotcha.
But it's funny.
It's still entertaining.
It's fun because Kevin Hart.
Of course.
It's great to see him.
Of course.
But more importantly, he has a movie in February. Now February is the time where studios just dump their crap. Right. If you see a movie that's coming out in February, even if it's a romantic comedy, people think like, oh, it's romance. They're putting it in February. No. Like, if you see a movie come out in February, that means the studio has zero faith in this film.
Of course.
So everything that comes out in February is like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Or either we don't know what's going to happen or we think this is going to suck.
Yeah, crapshoot, tax write-off, whatever.
So February is a horrible time for movies, but the surprise hits along with the Lego movie, which is just, that was a movie the studios didn't want to put in the summer or the spring. They just put it here and it blew up and it's fantastic. Yeah. Along with the Lego movie is... About Last Night, the sort of the retelling, the remake of the 80s movie. Yeah. And the critic, that's a 75, 77% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
High 70s on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a critical success, and it's a hit.
Man,
it's another back-to-back. January hit, February hit.
He's killing it. I think what's really, really the point we have to make this point too is that and we talked about this on the show before in terms of black films and why Hollywood doesn't invest in black films because internationally they don't do well.
Right.
But with Ride Along, which was really excellent, is that obviously predominantly it was predominantly black people went to go see the movie, but 30% were Latino. And I believe 15% were white. So it's showing that there is a market for it. Right. It's showing that there is a diverse audience that are going and buying the tickets to show up and to watch the movie. So I just applaud the brother for, breaking down these doors and, man, just continued success. Like, and what he's doing with the social media in terms, like, I think he has 10 million Facebook subscribers, 9 million Twitter followers. Like, he's doing it. Like, and just what he's doing with commercials, like his creativity, like how he infused, like we haven't seen a person like this, or at least a comedy guy like this.
Well, because the reason why is because he's of this generation, right? So like, I mean, you can make the argument of what guys like Richard Pryor did and touch all these quadrants and resonate on a level. You can even make an argument of what guys like the guys who Eddie Murphy and then the Rocks and the Martin Lawrences had done coming up the black folks. But what makes him unique is he's had taken all that years of work, 18 years, and then utilize all the tools of our age, 2014, all the social media tools
to maximize it even further.
And every little dude has done. Here's the shocker, the biggest shocker. Dude's done 30 films.
Yeah,
Kevin Hart has been in 30 movies.
Yeah, in a short span of time. That's a lot. He's been he's on Modern Family. He's done so many TV appearances. He's everywhere. He's on every show. Everyone knows. Like he's a Conan O'Brien favorite. Show. He has his own television show. We didn't even talk about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
The
Husbands of Hollywood. Real Husbands of Hollywood. We fucked it up.
Real Husbands of Hollywood, whatever it is. And he's and he's everywhere, and so props to him. Two last things. One last thing I'll say. One question for you regarding Kevin Hart is the first thing that I'll say is that people are also back to the success of About Last Night. People are saying like, oh well, it's because of the success of a lot of urban films, including Best Man Holiday in 12 years, and that's why people are liking urban films, and it's like. I really think that About Last Night is a film that is it's a relationship film. It's a date film. I know plenty of white folks
just like Think Like a Man.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Think Like a Man 2's coming. Right. But the question I have for you is Kevin Hart is dangerously approaching overexposure territory.
I hear that argument a lot, actually. Yeah.
What do you think? Is that possible, or is it because he's black? He still has because he's overexposed in the black world, but he hasn't still had to crack to the
A lot of people ask that question. Hey, is he doing too much? Is he overdoing? Is he overkilling? Is he killing it? Like, I'm not communicating well today.
It's all right.
I think that you have two schools of thought. I think there's a Hollywood model that we're going to try to exploit, or we're going to use it until it's gone. We're going to just keep going heavy. If it's not broken, we're not going to fix it.
Right.
So I think that's what they're doing. Kevin Hart, this is his time. He might as well just get it all right now. But I think there's a lot of other talented people that could be doing things along with him, and I think it kind of like overshadows them. So there's a lot of actors and comedic people that don't have the opportunities that he had that are probably way more funny. Right. But because he's in the limelight now, they're not getting those opportunities. But right. I think his time will come to an end.
Yeah.
But I think he should just get it now. He should get it now.
You think it'll come to an end?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, look at Mike Epps. He was killing it. Where's he at now?
Mike Epps is not funny.
He is funny.
Not funny to me.
Oh, man.
Mike Epps is not funny to me.
Okay.
All right.
Or Anthony Anderson. Where's he now?
Well, he had some trouble. He beat up some people and did some stuff. He has some domestic stuff. Anthony Anderson, basically, by the way, who's still very funny. Anthony Anderson he's just kind of corporate. Like he's had 2 NBC series. Yeah. Anthony Anderson is one of those guys who has been the lead of a TV series almost every year for the last 8 years, and they've all got canceled, unfortunately. Anthony Anderson is a guy who, when pilot seasons is right now, I guarantee you there is an Anthony Anderson vehicle floating around in pilot season.
Cat Williams. I mean, we've seen this trend.
Cat's got problems too. Cat's funny. Let me go back. Mike Epps is funny. I'm not gonna say Mike Epps is not funny. Mike Epps is funny. I don't think Mike Epps has broad staying power appeal. I think that Mike Epps is a funny brother, and I'm not gonna say Mike Epps ain't funny. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement. But just Mike Epps is just not. I just never really got Mike Epps on a large cultural level. When I see him show up in the Hangover, or I see him show up, I just feel like he's not bringing that. He's not really bringing the funny. The Mike Epps-ness of Mike Epps doesn't translate for me across any other venues, whereas Kevin Hart translates. Anthony Anderson translates. Cat Williams.
The thing with man here, I think he does the same tactics.
Right.
Every time it's the same delivery.
Right.
And I think it's funny now, but I think we're gonna get tired of it. I just think we're gonna be over unless he redefines himself, reinvents himself. Then he'll have more longevity.
Rock does the same delivery. Rock is the same delivery. Rock is very specific about his delivery and very specific about how he approaches comedy. And when he goes out and works, I mean, he'll pop into any comedy clubs. He'll pop into the Improv or pop into Caroline's in New York. And when he does his bits, he works on. I know we're getting slightly off topic here, but I'll come back. But when Rock works on his bits, he just does. He doesn't do the voice. He'll just tell the jokes like in a normal voice. Hello, I'm Chris Rock. So my wife today, blah 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 blah. He doesn't do the whole Chris. He doesn't do the whole Chris Rock thing because he wants to see how the jokes land without the inflections, and that's how he works on his jokes. The point that I'm making is Rock is when he's on stage. That's a character of Chris Rock. He's doing very specific Chris Rock, and we're not sick of it. I don't think we are. This is we're going on 15 years plus of Chris Rock.
We haven't seen Chris Rock in 5
20
movies.
years.
We haven't seen Chris Rock in 5 movies in the span of 4 months, though. We haven't seen that either.
Chris Rock is not a movie star,
and he wasn't on TV like how he is.
He was on Saturday Night
While
Live.
he's doing 5 movies.
No,
that's what I'm saying. Just the amount of visibility,
the overexposure.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see. I he's 5'5". I don't know.
Hey, but I applaud him, man.
Yeah.
Get that money.
Get that money.
And keep at it with the social media because it's working.
That's 30 minutes on Kevin Hart and comedy and the state of comedy.
Yes, sir.
And so, but let's move on to something I'm really excited about is the Tonight Show. The Tonight Show started this week with Jimmy Fallon.
Man.
And have you watched? Have you watched it?
Man. I have. This shit is funny, man.
I mean, it's so amazing for me as a student of TV, as a fan of Jimmy's, as a fan of the Tonight Show in general for the last 4 decades that I've been on this planet. Spiritually, not my age.
Oh, okay, of course not.
In my 20s. No, but and also for hip hop. I mean, there's a lot of things happening here.
A lot of streams of that.
A lot of streams happening, and I think that. So, Fallon has taken the Tonight Show. He's taken over the Tonight Show. It's a very much talked about, transition. Just really quick, Jay's last shows were great. Jay's last show was really, really touching. I don't know if you saw that. Really touching. He got really emotional and cried a little bit. And it was, Jay doesn't show emotion at all. So that was very touching. But Fallon comes on the scene. And he's triple dog, kills it, destroys it. He did this great. So he's taking the show back to New York.
Right.
In the 40. The 60-year history of the Tonight Show, I believe. From Jack Parr, who started in that same Studio 6B where he was. Jack Parr was there. I think Steve Allen was there. I think Johnny Carson was there until he moved to LA in 1973.
Has a long legacy and tradition.
He's back in that studio in New York, which is cool. I mean, I knew that he's back in New York, but I didn't know that he was in the exact same studio that all those Tonight Shows were in. I think that's dope, first of all. So he's back in New York, and he's got there's so many cultural signifiers for me, which really just blow my mind as a guy who watches this stuff. First of all, as Jimmy pointed out, he grew up with the Tonight Show and Johnny Carson, as did I. I grew up with that whole thing. He's 39 years old. He's a couple years younger than me. I'm a couple years old. I'm a couple years older than him and a couple years younger than Will Smith. So I'm in that. So we're all in the same age zone. But to look on television to see a 39-year-old guy come out and look to the right, and he's got
the roots.
The roots,
man.
No, I mean, look, and I don't want to say like a black band, because obviously Jay had Kevin Eubanks and Jay had
a black man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
He has a black man.
He did. But I'm saying, but Jay did that too.
Right.
So I'm not saying Jay broke this bit, but he has the roots. And it's one thing to have the roots on the late night show, which is groundbreaking, but to have the roots on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I grew up with Doc Severinsen in the Tonight Show band. Doc Severinsen on the trumpet, and Ed McMahon. So look over and see the roots.
See Questlove.
It's blowing my mind.
That is crazy.
It blows my mind. And then so to see he go through his monologue, he pays respect to everyone that was there. But and now he's doing his own thing. And his first guest is Will Smith.
Man, that sketch. That dance sketch was hilarious, man.
It's incredible.
That was hilarious.
That was all my dances, by the way. I could have been the third dude.
When I watched it, I thought of you, bro. I was like, this is Joe. No, just the dances.
Yeah,
like,
that's all my moves. But because we're in the same age. Those are all my moves. But I love that. First of all, Jimmy can dance.
Man, he can. He surprised me.
Jimmy's got moves.
He was doing it.
Jimmy's
man.
a hip hop head. That's the thing. Jimmy. So the fact that he did that in that first episode, he had the hip hop dance. He had a black man, arguably one of the biggest stars in the world, but still a black first guest as Will Smith. He has the roots. It's like this is and keep in mind that Will is a rapper.
Yeah.
Will is he won a Grammy for the first Grammy for the rap. He's been around. He's been in the game since 1987. And so to see him and the roots and the hip hop sketch. And then U2, the biggest band in the world, with that beautiful thing on the roof, was beautifully shot. That show blew my mind.
Yeah, just the diversity, man. That I think because of his youth and because of his knowledge, and because he's a funny ass dude. Like he's able to unify all these elements where I think other people, his predecessors, could not do.
Right.
And so I think he's learned from them, and now he's advancing it. He's bringing it to the future. Like we want to see the roots, and we want to see you two on the same stage.
Yes.
We want to see Will Smith and whoever else on the same stage.
Yes.
Like, that's what makes it cool. That it's just a mixture of all these cultural, social things that we all like.
It made me really think about like how very excited I am about this show. It made me feel like, well, am I excited because I'm up there in age. I'm 40. I'm on 4. So does that mean like, oh, I'm old now? Tonight Show, time for the Tonight Show. I'm an old guy. Or does this mean because my parents are watching the Tonight Show and back in the day?
Right.
But like I think this is more than that because this reaches all the way back to younger demographics as well as ahead. He's trying to invite the older folks to come into his tent. Right. He's reaching back. He's got the Gen Xers like me already. Yeah. So he's trying to get the youngins like you.
The thing is though, what they call the honeymoon effect. Like after the first week or two. Well, of course he's getting
Conan was hot too.
Viewership now, but I want to see if he can sustain it throughout the years to come. So
well, here's the thing about Jimmy, which what applies directly to our show is Jimmy is he's social media. He's killed the social media from day one. From day one on the
hashtags
on late night. But like he came out with his laptop. One of the things he had was laptop on the desk. Yeah. But early on, he got rid of it. But it was like this is the kind of guy I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I'm checking my Twitter feed as we're doing the show.
Right.
I'm looking online. That's the kind of show I want to do.
Yep.
He set that precedent early on his late night show.
Yeah.
And look, he's got over, I don't know what it is. It's a crazy amount of hits on YouTube on his channel.
Yeah.
Like in the multiple hundreds of millions of hits from all them from Mariah Carey to all the bits he's done over the years.
Yeah.
And now he's done this too. Every episode this week has had a gigantic social media moment from the dance thing with Will Smith in the first night.
Did you see the Michelle Obama one?
That was last night.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama from last night.
That was funny as hell.
The Brian Williams Rapper's Delight.
That was fucking cool.
It was ridiculous.
I've never seen nothing like that.
That was the best
I mean,
thing.
in terms of hip hop,
Oh
like,
my God.
on like,
Man.
mainstream like outlet.
Yes.
That was cool, man.
That was very cool. Like, if you haven't seen that, check out the Brian Williams.
That to me is my
Rapper's
favorite.
Delight.
That's my favorite.
He did it with Straight Outta Compton with Brian Williams too, but this was really good. That's when they brought in Lester in there. That was dope. And then before that, he did the R. Kelly Barbershop Quartet.
Yeah.
You've seen that one?
Yeah. That was funny too.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So every night he's coming with a new sort of shareable moment. So
and I like that how he's incorporating like these sketch elements.
Oh yeah.
So he'll sit and interview a guy, but then he'll incorporate more interactivity. Like he'll make the guy do something, or like it's not like the simple, hey, I'm going to interview. What's going on? You have a product coming out, a movie coming out, whatever. Now let's do something. Like show me some personality.
It is a show. Like he's doing a variety show. He's not just doing a chat show sitting behind a desk. He's actually doing.
Right.
I'm entertained, and this is we talk about back to the Live Plus 3, Live Plus 4, like Walking Dead, water cooler stuff. This is what he's created.
Right.
And granted, it's the first week and blah blah blah, but like he's created this. Like I feel like I can't miss tonight's show. Like I'm tuning in every week. Like I can't wait till tonight. Like what's gonna happen tonight?
Wait, so you mean to tell me? I mean, because I know you told me before Arsenio Hall was your favorite.
Oh boy, shut up. you think you're
So do you think he'll be able to get Arsenio Hall? He'll be able to kill him off?
Shut up. You're being ridiculous now.
No, serious question though. Do
Yes.
you think that he can? You think that I'm killing you though? Do you think he could kill Jimmy Kimmel though?
Well, that's the trick. I mean, late night is become the nice guy zone, right? So I mean, you had Jay versus Dave, and Dave's very honorary, and Jay's Jay, and then Jimmy was a young guy, Jimmy Kimmel. But Jimmy by all accounts, is just the nicest guy. He's super nice. And his show, Jimmy's show is very, very, very popular. I don't know if it'll be interesting to see because Jimmy also is very, very good at social media and very, very good at creating these bits that go viral, from the effing Matt Damon to the whole twerking video he did to now he does this great thing called Twitter. He has celebrities read their hateful tweets. Mm-hmm. So it's like George Clooney, whatever, reading these tweets about. So he's really savvy and he's smart and he's funny. His hero, ironically though, growing up was Letterman. So that's his hero. So he's really trying to do the Letterman thing. Ironically, Jimmy comes from a different school. So you still have this sort of thing like, Letterman versus Carson, Letterman versus Leno situation. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll take him out. I think there's enough room for everybody. The real question is, what's going to happen to guys like, Jon Stewart and Colbert? I mean, Colbert is on 11:30, and he did that great bit at the beginning of the first episode. It was, welcome to 11:30, bitch. That was funny. But so, Colbert and really who rule our demographic, the 18 to 35. Well, I'm not a demographic, 18 to 39, but
you have to extend it.
Exactly. Who it's really Colbert and Stewart. They're killing it. And Conan's actually really killing it still, too. So you've got Conan, you've got Colbert and Stewart, you've got Jimmy, you've got Jimmy. So the real question is, not for me, not what's going to happen to Jimmy, what's going to happen to Letterman? I mean, Letterman's 11:30. I mean, he's looking awful stale. And I grew up with Letterman as being the hippest, coolest thing ever, innovative. Anybody my age thinks Letterman is like the coolest, funniest dude ever. But now look at Letterman in his 60s.
So let me ask you this: in the pantheon of late night TV hosts, who do you think is the top guy historically, currently? Like who do you think will have the greatest legacy?
Oh, it's Johnny. It's Carson. And I
just
mean,
because he was first, or because of the duration of how long.
It's the duration. He was just how good he was. He was just good. I think it's Carson. And then you got to go if you want to rank them, you got to go Carson, you got to go Letterman, and then it gets weird because no one else has been around long enough. But you can go into, you got to give Arsenio, for that window of time, that 5 years he was on the air in the 90s, he completely revolutionized the way. There would be no. You can say which one about Letterman. There would be no Jimmy Kimmel or any of those guys doing what their thing if Arsenio didn't do his thing.
Of course.
And during that time, there were so many. everyone tried to do like the Arsenio version, the version of Arsenio at that time. There was the Vibe, remember Vibe, late night.
Magic had a show.
Magic Hour, black folks are just coming up like, I could do this too, but you really couldn't. So, so Arsenio revolutionized the game. I think Arsenio now, he's got a nice little niche. It feels like a old R&B oldies station.
Man.
going over to Arsenio, I was like,
going on KJLH.
It is. It's like going shout out to Arsenio, but it's like going on KJLH.
Why are we killing him today? I'm sorry, I should have done it.
You know what? I'm okay with Arsenio. Arsenio's not young either. Arsenio's like 59 or whatever he is. He looks, so.
So last question.
Yeah.
Do you see Jimmy getting old on the show? Do you think he'll last?
Yes.
You do?
I do. I really do. Because he's 39. And the question is, how will he be able to sort of take his humor and his sort of, because right now it's the same thing that happened to Letterman, right? Letterman was the young guy, the college kids loved him. He was smart. When Letterman was in his 30s, he was the funniest, smartest, youngest, coolest guy around. Now he's kind of just an old grumpy dude. I don't know that Jimmy's going to grow into an old grumpy dude, but dude is 39. Yeah. I mean, I can see, at
least 10, 15.
And frankly, Jay Leno was the hippest dude around. Jay Leno was
that's off my radar.
Okay, Jay Leno was, he was on Johnny Carson, but Jay Leno was Letterman's favorite. They were friends, but Letterman's favorite comedian. Jay Leno would come on Letterman, and he was edgy, and he was funny, and he was all, that was Jay Leno's whole thing. So when he got it, the Tonight Show, all those years ago, it was like Jay's gonna come bring some, and he did.
Right.
But then Jay got old in the show, and then Jay became Jay did the show for 20 years.
Man.
So he became old. So I don't know. I do see him getting old in the show.
I like a quote. He said, I'm just happy to have this, opportunity that this is my last job. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
At 39, you already know this is your legacy. Wow. It's going to be your legacy.
Yeah, that's great. No, I missed that quote. That's a great quote. Anyway, so let's move on from Jimmy. We're big fans of Jimmy Fallon. Please check him out.
Man, the shit is dope.
He's doing great things. I hope he continues. Let's really quickly, before we get out of here, get into our boy Shia LaBeouf. Man, I mean, so Shia is doing a lot right now. He's having some trouble. He's I don't know if he's having trouble, but he's definitely in the news. He was in the news for his big plagiarizing scandal he got into, which was one thing. But he's decided to, in promoting his movie Nymphomaniac, the Lars von Trier movie that's coming out, in the premiere of that movie, he came out with this bag on his head saying he's not famous anymore, and this has been his sort of his motif going into this entire month of February. Mm-hmm. He did an art opening here in Los Angeles, over on Beverly, across the street from BuzzFeed, where you can go in there. And I didn't go, but I drove by there a couple times. I didn't go, but I had friends that went and told me all about it. Mm-hmm. I actually I was going to go, but I'm lazy. I got there, I saw the line. I was like, I don't want to wait in line. But we had an art installation where you go in there and you can go in there and actually you pick up some artifacts from some of his movies and you go, and Shia LaBeouf is there, with a bag on his head, or sometimes whatever. And basically saying he's sorry, crying and doing whatever else he's doing in there. And it's an interesting thing, but I got a lot of attention and a lot of, either criticism, some praise, some, trying to figure out what he's doing. But Shia is going how we thought. When Joaquin Phoenix did a whole thing a couple years ago, and he did that whole, it turned out to be a fake move for the movie. Yeah. This is kind of what Shia is doing for real. I mean, what's your take on Shia LaBeouf?
Man, I like Shia. Just his story coming from, poverty and what he's been able to do through acting and providing for his family. I like him as an actor.
Sure.
I think he's very talented. But yeah, this is kind of weird. It's kind of cool. It's I don't know. I think it's, in a way, it's masochistic, in the sense that, he is publicly, allowing people to throw stones at him and take on this pain. I don't know if it's pleasing him. That's why I call it
Right.
I think he's being masochistic, but I don't know. I don't know what the point is. I think is he just trying to get attention? Is he trying to make a point? Is there a deeper, some symbolic thing that he's trying to communicate? I'm not famous anymore. Is he throwing stones at whole Hollywood culture? Because I know it's very fraternal and very. There's at inherent values associated with Hollywood, how you're supposed to act and what you're supposed to do. And I know he's kind of being a little bit rebellious. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff twisted.
It's all that stuff. I just think it's just a symptom of him just growing up in the public eye. He's grown up. I remember him from Even Stevens on the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And I remember him from Holes. I talked to him a few times, and I I talk to celebrities for a living, so I talked to him probably, about 10 times. I've met him personally about 3 or 4 times. He's always been great. We almost came to an encore show. He was outside of our rehearsing at Knitting Factory. He was very interested in like, what's going on there? I love hip hop, and got a CD and everything. So, but he's always been cool. But the thing about him is that like he's had this artistic struggle when he did all the Transformers movies and all that money that hurts. But then also
that hurts.
Well, I mean, it kind of at a young age, a lot of money. You're trying to figure out what you're doing as an artist versus who you are. And he's had that money since he was a kid, Disney money. Yeah. So anyway, he did the Transformers movies. He did that Indiana Jones movie. Those experiences for him were not the best. And I think that he made a conscious effort, not unlike Matthew McConaughey, to say, I'm going to be taken seriously. I'm going to do some serious shit.
Right.
And so he made a conscious effort to not do the Transformers, he kind of bashed Spielberg and the whole thing, which is not a good move. And
that's what I mean, like the whole Hollywood thing. Like,
yeah, but so he went off, he did some independent films. He did Lawless, which is independent, which is fantastic. He did a bunch of other stuff. He did that, and he got in more trouble because he did that off-Broadway play. He started to rehearse for that Broadway play with Alec Baldwin, and then basically quit that and shit on Alec Baldwin, which is the whole thing. So yeah, he has an attitude of, I'm an artist. I'm just trying to do my thing. His heroes are those guys back in the day, all those guys of that time, from Marlon Brando on to Robert De Niro and Pacino. So he's trying to emulate some of that. So I think he's kind of doing this like, I'm an artist. I'm a counterculture guy. It's about the work for me. I don't care about the fame. This is what I'm going to do. And he's kind of living up to that.
I respect it. I mean, it's an extreme stance.
Right.
But like, it's a fine line. Like, is he like loose in his head? The screws is loose, or is it like defined purpose for this? Right. I don't know, but
he's had some demons. I've been, I've seen him out at bars in Sherman Oaks, and he got into a fist fight. A couple times, and so whatever. I mean, he's got some stuff, but I think he's just a troubled artist. I leave him alone. But social media is very heavy on him, so he's all over Twitter. We're talking about him because these are, I should have said these are the things that sort of broke social media. The Jimmy and then this and. So whatever, we'll get into that. We ran out of time. We didn't get a chance to get into the good stuff with my man, the Michael Dunn, which that set of story is not going anywhere. So we'll definitely get into Michael Dunn next week and have a more serious conversation about what's going on with that and the effects of that, what that's happening, via social media and how that's being portrayed in the media and how that affects us culturally, because it involves hip hop, it involves black folks, it involves social media, it involves all that stuff. But we'll save that for next week.
Yeah,
we're out of time. But that's it. Anything else you want to talk? You want to before we get out of here? Anything you want to plug? Talk about
next week? Expect me to have a bag over my head.
Oh, you're not famous anymore. Yeah, I remember when you used to be famous, man.
Man,
I remember those days. Where can we find you?
You can find me at Achilles Shine, AKILI Shine, on Instagram and on Twitter. Please follow me.
Yes, me too. Follow me too. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. And I do a bunch of shows on our sister network, AfterBuzz, Blacklist, True Detective, some others. So check us out over there too. Thank you for joining us. Show number 12, Geek Nerd Tech. We're getting better. We like it. We'll see you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Dario Kristen, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network. If you have questions or comments, tweet us at BHL Online or email us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. For more exclusive content, visit blackhollywoodlive.com. This has been a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network.
Hollywood redefined.
I gave you a scratch.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.